Hello everyone, I'm Kibin Alleyne and today is Tuesday, January 14th. You are now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. The Teaching Artists Project from Community World Project is a comprehensive training and internship program for working artists who desire to incorporate social justice and social emotional learning into their teaching practice. This program supports Community World Project's global mission to facilitate culturally responsive, multidisciplinary art programs for students, teaching artists, and communities to develop and amplify their voices and creative skills. Here to tell us more is the co-director of curriculum at TAP, Jay Howard. Jay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we get into the Teaching Artists Project, can you tell me a little bit more about Community Word Project?
Yes, Community Word Project is kind of like two arms. So we have a training program where we train artists to become teaching artists, whether they are new to the field or even if they have experience looking for a social-emotional context or a justice-oriented approach. We also have residencies where we send two artists inside of a classroom. One is always a writer, and the second one is a different discipline, and they work together to bring the arts to students and to other spaces as well.
Now, what inspired TAP or the Teaching Artists Project?
Our founder, Michelle Kotler, she experienced growing up in New York City public schools, and she was dyslexic. So she had some challenges learning, and then she had a sixth grade teacher who introduced music and started to drum inside of the classroom. And for her, she says that's when the vision was first started to form. 1997, she had a chance to pilot some of her ideas where she took her idea to train artists to Sarah Lawrence College. She worked with 5 writers. They worked together for 5 days to think through lesson plans, pedagogy, and really unpack what it means to build something together. They then also had some experiences where they were training and sitting inside of classrooms before they had the opportunity to teach. From that experience, she learned that the most important thing is to have a valuable lesson plan, but also you should be able to uncover what your creative process is. We like to say that is the foundation of where our organization started. And then in 2001, that is where we have our model, where we send artists inside of the classroom for residencies, but also still do the training program as well.
Now, both CWP and TAP, celebrates over 25 years. Can you tell us how it feels to accomplish such a major milestone?
It's truly exciting for us, especially for me. I did the training program myself back in 2014, 2015. So I've had the pleasure to grow with this org the last 10 years. We've trained well over 1,000 artists in our 25 years who love to investigate their craft. So they're really working together. They're interested in learning how to take their creative process and translate it for others to learn. With that, we also had a chance to interact with so many students throughout our approach. We've reached now over 40,000 students. We're in New York Public Libraries. We are in so many different places. So for us, it's really about the reach, but we're just glad to be part of this conversation that is arts and education.
And kind of expanding on that, what role has community and collaboration played in sustaining the program?
I don't think we would be who we are without the role of collaboration. It's kind of embedded in our mission and values, the role of intentional collaboration. So we collaborate with our partners. So that might look like collaborating with schools. It might look like collaborating with funders to bring sure that we are bringing the right programs to our students. But most importantly, this us partnering with the field itself. We've had a chance to partner with the Arts and Education Roundtable. It's a big nonprofit organization. We've had a chance to bring forth an arts and education job fair for the past 10 years, the first 7 years at the Borough Manhattan Community College, and the last 2 years at Hunter Community College. We've also partnered with the Abrams Arts Center, Dwyer Cultural Center, so many different institutions across Bronx, Harlem, New York City, really for exposure, but also to bring arts into spaces that really need it. So for us, intentional collaboration is how we love to do this work.
Now, why is art education essential, especially in communities that face systemic inequalities?
For us, it's about giving power where it belongs, and that's back to the individual. We know that art can be uplifting and inspiring, but it's also a journey where people can learn more about themselves. We often like to say that art is an entry point into finding out who you are, and if you can uncover that a little bit more by dissecting your art, dissecting your interests, even if it's just a conversation, it's a container, we think about that and the power of arts for our communities within that.
Now, speaking of the power of art, can you talk about how TAP enriches students' lives and helps them find their voices?
Some of my favorite moments are when the wheels start turning for students inside of the classroom, and you can start to see the connections that are starting to make. A lot of our students might have comfort with numbers, they might have comfort with the sciences or humanities. It's in those interesting spaces where we're marinated and immersing the arts and the education experiences where they can find a container, a form of expression to really think about who they are. So for me, it's really those light bulb moments, whether they're in first grade, kindergarten, or even in high school. And even for our adults who are also continuing to learning to grow and find that voice for who they are.
Now, we'd say arts, but I'm just curious, what type of art is it? Is it just drawing or just music? How do you guys explore the arts?
It's every single art form. So really, we always have one writer inside of a classroom, and then we work with a second discipline. So it can be visual arts, it can be dance, it can be photography. We've even worked with visual artists in unique ways. So for us, it's about how do we think about these two containers for a student to explore who they are and their interests.
Now, what impact have you seen or has this had on young people, both creatively but also academically?
Yeah, for us, it's more about like how do we think about the things that are already going on in the day to day, whether that's happening inside the classroom or the things that you're experiencing natural in your own world, and how we can use art as a conversational space for it. So a lot of the times we can see emotional maturity. We do a lot of things where we are doing a lot of interactive metrics. So they're physically interactive with the project that we are kind of doing as well too.
Now, how does TAP empower artists to bridge the gap between art and education? And then also, piggyback question, what is it like, becoming a teacher when you've been doing art for so long?
Yeah, it's a journey, and for us, it's about that process. We all have these ingredients behind what inspires us to create, and we also have these creative ancestors, we like to say. So, no matter what we do, we have creative ancestors, we have these creative elements and influences. For us, having these artistic conversations in an educational space allows us to integrate those two things together and see how those can kind of be in a conversational space. A lot of times we have these creative elements and we don't know how to put them into words. This is a space where we can process and investigate and kind of lean on each other to really think about like our creative elements and our talents.
Now, how does TAP center justice and equity in its curriculum and mission?
Yeah, it's embedded in our approach of radical love. Our work is a product of our joy, but also our work is a product of the communities that we're responsible for. A lot of our work is culture responsive, not just because the cultures that we're responding to, but because it's this right now moment. How do you think about our experiences? How do you think about who we are and our identities to really think about it as a learning model? So yeah, we're really culturally invested, but we're also like in this right now moment of thinking about the arts and its power for not just us individually, but for our collective communities as well.
And kind of, going off of that, in what ways does training artists, to become educators contribute to dismantling systemic barriers in education?
Yeah, we like to say that this is a journey that we can't do alone. So we're training the next generation of artists by allowing them to explore our creative process. And the more artists that we can interact with, whether they're adults, young persons, they're going to continue to reflect and continue to be in conversation with others. So this conversation continues to grow and we can see the impact growing, not just within our immediate circles, but we'll see the wavelengths continue to ripple.
Now, I love when I hear that programs are incorporating art into the school, just arena, just because it is so useful, especially when we're dealing with children who come from maybe low income backgrounds or are coming from areas that have faced so many challenges. It could be used as so many different tools to help that child, especially if you don't know what they're going through or if they are struggling academically. So I love to hear that the work that you're doing. I think it's amazing. With that, how can individuals and organizations get involved to support this overall mission, especially when we're talking about our education and equality?
Yeah, that's an important question. We have something called the TAP Alliance, and the TAP Alliance is a network of organizations who work together to fill in the gaps of what's missing in the arts education field. So we host workshops together, whether that's on an artistic subject or an educational subject. We host panels, and we really allow the artists that are on our rosters to have a space where we can have larger conversations within the arts and education field. So if you have an organization, you can join our TAP Alliance and have access to these free workshops for your roster, for your artists themselves as well.
Now, what advice would you give to aspiring artists who want to make a difference in their communities or people who are already artists?
Yeah, we have this motto at Community Word Project that says, I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. So really just take that as insight. Find out the ways where you can truly flex your authentic voice. And that can be through arts, that can be through education. So really think about who you are and try to find an art form that really allows you for your voice to echo.
Now, what are the goals for TAP in the upcoming year?
Always intentional collaboration because we can't move forward without intentional collaboration. Really, the TAP Alliance, we are integrating new workshops and new panels, not just ending with our job fair, but really focusing on this idea of teaching artists sustainability. How can we turn this career into something that is sustainable from year to year and for the long term? But also, most importantly, of course, is just raising money to do the work itself. So we've done that in unique ways by partnering with some of our alums to do T-shirt contests where they're designing their own unique brands of identities, and people can like buy these T-shirts not just to support our organization, but also support these artists as well.
And can you explain, how has this affected you? You said you've been kind of a part of the program for over 10 years now, nearly 10 years
Yeah.
because it's 2025. But can you just explain, what impact it's had on you?
For me, when I first joined the program, I was doing a lot of work with incarcerated youth. I had a chance to be an AmeriCorps member working for the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. And I was looking for a way to really put into language my passion for hip hop and poetry. So Teaching Artist Project gave me a space, a container to really process my talents, my interests, but really put it into a conversational space. It has allowed me to network in unique ways. It also has allowed me to find my own artistic partnerships. So I'm collaborating with people because of the spaces that we've encountered. But also, I just love having conversations about like what people are creating. So for me, I fell in love with curriculum through this process and having conversations with others about how they could bring something that they're truly passionate about and turn it into a curriculum format.
Well, I just want to say once again that I love, just the overall mission and just hearing from you, it seems like it's benefiting both the children and the people involved. And I think it's amazing work that you're doing. And again, I just love to see that although academics are very important in school, that we don't kind of turn our backs to the arts because they can be so helpful to so many people. And I can imagine it's also therapeutic for the teaching artists as well. So with that, I want to thank you so much for joining us and kind of sharing a little bit more about your background and the work that you're doing to kind of help the community or children in the community out. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me today.
If you would like to learn more about TAP, please visit the website on your screen below. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Open right after this.